it's not a death sentence. That I know it's an opportunity for God to give you better things and better things. So that to show up humanly, so that we build our mental capacity, build our mental strength, so that we are resilient enough. So that iwapo upatano ingine ivalentes, God forbid, but then you're going to resist it. See you on Monday, guys. Let's have this conversation. Asante.
Naitwa Julius, I'm a videographer na tena si lazima iwaka, au sio?
Mimi naitwa Ibe, mimi ni psychologist, na si lazima iwaka.
Mimi naitwa Amo, mimi ni Jeff, na si lazima iwaka.
Hello, good evening. If you're able to hear me, and if you're able to just, if you have been able to see the video that has played, let me see your thumbs up, and so that I know you are able to join us. So let me just see your thumbs up if you're able to hear me and see me at the same time. Grace, Nancy confirms that she's able to hear me, and I hope all of us. Paris also does confirm that you're able to hear me. Thank you also, Sally. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Karibuni sana to this session. I hope that then we'll be able to have a conversation that our expectations will be met. So I just want to hear from us how your day has been, and we'll start from one who is closer to me according to how my screen is. So we'll start from Paris, Gracie, Sally, Ezra, and then Esther, Nancy, Elizabeth, and then Prudence. So if you're able to hear me and you're able to unmute, go ahead and unmute and just tell us what you make, how your day has been, and really what your expectations are. So just in 1 minute, every one of us, before we jump into this. So Paris, if you're able to hear me, go ahead and unmute, speak to us. Karibu.
Thank you, Ebe. Hi, everyone. This is Paris. Okay, actually, Asa. Yes, so my day has been quite good, 50-50 good and 50 bad. But I thank God imeisha tu vizuri. Hiyo topic ya leo ni yenye nimengoja sana, niko na hizo pressure mingi sana sasa by the way. Yeah, and I'm expecting to develop that courage of processing all those pressures then be well. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. You can clap for her, the online claps. So next we have Gracie. Gracie, you can be able to unmute and just speak to us.
Okay, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me, Evan.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Grace, and my day has been good. Yes, generally it has been fine. Okay. So my expectation for today is to learn the different ways on how to handle failure, disappointment. Yeah, and to hear the different experiences from y'all.
Great. Thank you so much. What I hear you say is that you are willing to hear everyone share, and thank God we are here, all of us, and I pray that everyone will share. Sally, you're next. If you can just unmute and speak to us.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Sally.
I hope everyone is doing great. My name is Sally. I'm from Kiambu, and this is actually my first time to tune in into these meetings. My day has been awesome but tiresome, and I expect to learn a lot about processing failure. No is actually a really hard word to hear, but I want to learn more on emotional intelligence on the same. So that is my expectation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Sally, for joining us for the first time, and we hope that it will be worth it. Next to her is Ezra Kirui. Ezra, if you're able to hear me, maybe you have gotten home. I last seen you are still on the road. You can unmute and say hi to us. Okay, looks like Ezra is in between something, but we will come back to you. Estanya Moita, if you're able to just unmute and say hi to us and maybe share your expectations. Okay, Ezra says he's on the road. You can type on the chat box. Thank you. Esther?
Hi,
Hi, Esther.
how are you, everyone? I'm good. So I'm good. My day has been fine. I can't wait to hear how the process along. Personally, I've been a victim, so I'm here ready to learn. Like, nasikia tu vizuri. Thank you for this platform, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Esther, for showing up. And next we have Nancy Maina. Nancy, if you're able to unmute and speak to us.
Hey guys,
Hi.
Nancy Maina here. I've been good. Siku imekuwa fiti. I can't wait to hear all of your experiences and how you process your loss. Hey manze, hii kitu inaramba wengi. Yeah, I'm eager to learn it and learn. See you there.
Great. Thank you so much, Nancy, that you are eager to learn and unlearn. Elizabeth Kigo, if you can unmute and speak to us. Elizabeth, are you there? Or rather, you can use the chat box if maybe you're having a challenge with unmuting and speaking to us. Just use the chat box and say hi to us. Prudence Mumo.
Hi Ebenezer, hi everyone. So my name is Prudence Momo and my expectations for this session is to get to hear people's stories because I really feel more in tune with listening to other people's stories than getting to hear motivational information more. So yeah, naweza penda kusikia stories za watu pia. Thank you.
Oh, great that you are you're here to listen to the stories of individuals and also to learn. Great, thank you so much. Purity Kangai, you joined in a little bit later. You can actually share with us how are you doing this evening and your expectations. Purity, if you're able to unmute and speak to us, we will appreciate.
Okay, hi everyone.
Hi, Purity.
I am good this evening. This is my first meeting to join. This is my first day to join this meeting, and I appreciate. Okay, I'm expecting to learn more about relationship, listening to others' stories, getting more inspired. Yeah, because I want to grow in that area. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Elizabeth, you able to unmute and talk to us?
Yes, please.
Great. Go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. My day has been fine. What I'm looking forward to in the processing a law, I really want to know how, if it comes wrong, how do you handle it? I'm really looking forward to that.
Great. That when a no comes, how you're able to process it. Thank you all for sharing your expectation, and thank you for just creating time, and of course also your resources to be here. I was sharing with some of you that initially I had thought that this conversation would be free, but then we are in a times where people are not necessarily willing to put value for what they value, so to speak, to put money where their mouth is. in this sense that then if I value personal development, if I value personal growth, can I go a notch higher and just get whatever I want? Because then if we continue offering these sessions for free, and this is not to say that there will not be more freer sessions, of course, from the Sankofa leaders, that will be done and all that, but then are we able to commit to ourselves, our growth? There's something a friend taught me so powerfully. It's the aspect of absolute personal responsibility. And we call it APR, absolute personal responsibility. That it is my responsibility to grow. And for me to grow, there are things that then I have to give for that particular growth. And that's why we just be able to put up a small fee for this, just a facilitation around that, so that it helps us and helps you to also commit to whatever. And someone joked and said, I want people who are unemployed, so to speak, to be able to part with something. I said yes, because honestly, young people go out and they hang out for pizza and all that. But then are we able to commit and be part of what helps us to grow? So just that, I thought that was important to mention. Karibuni sana. My name is Ebenezer Gift. I have a background in public health, a background in counseling psychology, and I love the whole aspect of personal development. It's a conversation that then makes my heart glow and makes my heart beat. The aspect of us growing together and just having conversations that stimulate us as young people to grow. Because again, someone said, the young people, our time is right now. If we think that the old people would leave the offices for us to occupy those seats, then we are at a loss. So how do we just go about taking charge, occupying, and being so proactive to get to where we are? That said, I want us to jump into this so that time does not beat us at some point. So today we are talking about failure. And I don't know if everyone had the opportunity to see the clip that we shared prior, but for the sake of those who joined after the clip had gone, allow me just share the clip. It's a 1 minute 30 something seconds clip that then will help us to jump into this conversation. So sit back and just listen to whatever it's being shared there. So in a minute, you can confirm if you're able to hear this.
Good evening. Counseling psychologist. There are good news coming on one conversation. We are talking about failure. Then how to process a no in terms of when you have gotten it. So the recent past, when I young people who have given up, Sally graduated 2017, and that can cause psychological troubles. Or even in terms of relationships, someone has been dating all these years, or waiting, or the beach, or the flowers, gifts happen apparently, but nothing seems to work. How do you process that? Just to bring that into context, we have had two instances. One, a girl that had applied over 500 jobs and none of them came through, and she passed away. She actually committed suicide. Just the other day, I've worked with a girl for quite some time, and so this teacher decides to commit suicide and lose his life. So as young people, how do we just process that no? When you have gone through those interviews and nothing works? For instance, myself, so how do we just work around that? So we are saying, see, let's work like it work. And I know it's not a death sentence, but I know it's an opportunity for God to give you better things and bigger things. So that to show up humanly, so that we build our mental capacity, build our mental strength, so that we are resilient enough, so that you want to but humanitize, God forbid, but then we are going to process it. See you Monday, guys. Let's have this conversation. Asante.
Naitwa Julius, I'm a videographer na tena si lazima iwaka, au sio?
Mimi naitwa Iben, mimi ni psychologist, si lazima iwaka.
Mimi naitwa Amo, mimi ni Jem. Si lazima iwaka.
Great. Wewe unaitwa nani na wewe ni nani na unasema uko wapi na unasema mbona isiwaki? You get? Thank you for the claps. Yeah, you can clap better. I was just sharing with a friend and telling them, the works that goes into content creation. You guys can't believe that my whole Friday was spent just doing that. So yeah, it takes quite some time. So then we appreciate the place of just creating content and the effort that comes with all this. So thank you. Hope you have entertained yourself through that clip. So we are talking about processing a no, and of course we are zeroing in the aspect of career and relationships. And we are starting this conversation at the beginning. And the beginning is, what do you think of this context? The context that has been shared in the clip, the context around the teacher in Embu who commits suicide after being rejected by an ex-girlfriend, leaves a note asking to be buried on Valentine's Day, which is Wednesday, with the ex-girlfriend reading the eulogy. And this other one, a woman who died by, of course, it was suspected that she was complaining for having applied 500 jobs without success. And maybe you can also type on the chat box, ni jobs ngapi umeapply so far and how is it going? But I just want to hear your thoughts. What you hear about, what you make out of these two incidences. The incidence of a teacher killing himself because of a girlfriend, and also this girl who commits suicide after 500 applications. So you can go ahead and share. You can unmute, maybe raise your hand, just share. What do you think about this? What do you make about this? Are they justified, or have you even gotten to a point that you felt hii kitu haiwork na I'm not even willing to try better? So someone can go ahead and share. Just raise your hand. It's a safe space, and go ahead and share. Great. Sally, go ahead. As Sally speaks, you can also prepare and just raise your hand so that after her, you go next. Karibu sana, Sally.
Okay, thank you. I feel like at this point, generally the world is a cruel place. And in most instances, like in most instances, like people actually do not care that much. For example, this woman who committed suicide because she had been applying jobs, like 500 jobs, like it's really sad. But if you listen to maybe to some people, like the ones who are in the human resource department, maybe they will tell her she should have tried something else, like apart from applying for the jobs, maybe she should have tried something else, or she should have revamped her CV, you see. And this scenario of the man committing suicide, you will see that in most scenarios, like the world will give you tough love. Like people will just be like, yo, you could have just moved on, like ukikataliwa na mtu mmoja, kubali tu hivyo, because you see, even if ukiamua commit suicide, like life will still go on. That's my realization. Like the world is cruel like that. So ni unaamka tu unajidust and you pick your broken pieces, you put them together and you move on. Because like at the end of the day, imagine me sioni like there is anyone who will come to rescue. No. That's how I see it. Because it's like sionangi issue ya mental health watu wakichukulia seriously sana. So at the end of the day, we have to like realize the world is already cruel, and we shouldn't like give up haraka, like try alternatives, because at the end of the day, imagine utakufa alafu people will still move on, maisha tu bado itaendelea. Imagine. That's how I see it. Yeah.
The world is cruel and chances are you get tough love. So how do you just process through that so that you are not a victim?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Someone else can go next. Nancy, you're willing to go next? I think people are humble here. Paris, you shared something. So tell us how you found yourself from Mombasa to Nairobi for a job that did not materialize and how that felt for you. Karibu sana.
I saw this coming.
Eh,
Hey, okay. I don't know where to start from, but let me try my best. So these are real things. They do happen actually, and they happen, and nailinihapenia hivyo kwangu pia. So, okay, before even reaching to that point of deciding to apply for that job, actually at reached a point yenye naona ai homespendi. Unajua unakaa mamako anakuona hauna kazi, uko tu mnaangaliana. Umetangatanga popote tena nakwambia rudi nyumbani ukae utapata job. So you're back home and she's like, hakuna sukari, so mnaangaliana nani atapeana sukari ama hakuna hii na hii. Mnaangaliana mwisho uende kukosana. So that's how it happened until reached a time like, she doesn't love me. So my uncle took me to his place. I stayed in his place. I could take time uko nako pia. Issues came up. So I hadn't given up on applying jobs through the email. So I did the application and I was called to Nairobi.
You're excited. I can imagine the excitement.
I went and exactly, and I prepared. I just spent the whole night, sleepless nights, just thinking about that interview, preparing every question possible, looking for answers and preparing myself. And I didn't sleep, of course I traveled overnight, so I went straight to the interview then. It was a nice session, they really loved it so well. But then I got a response. So I spent 3 months waiting for response and there's no response I'm waiting, so I decided to get back home.
So in the meantime, you are in Nairobi. Sorry to cut you short.
Yes.
Just waiting.
Like right now? Not right now. Okay, the 3 months that I was in Nairobi, of course the interview was in March last year. So I stayed there waiting. And I'm staying at a friend's place, so it's also another cost. I can just stay idle. Yeah, so it was a tough time for me. I don't know how to say it well, but it wasn't a good time for me, so I had to get back home, frustrated, giving up. I didn't even apply for other jobs. Actually, it took me to some stress, a bit of stress, but then after 2 months, in August last year is when I got the job where I am right now. This one I didn't even apply for, just someone mentioning me at the tables of great people. Yeah, so but that time it wasn't so easy for me.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. I see Sally's clapping. Yeah, you deserve a clap. Look at the turn of events that there is this one that you apply for, you stay around for 3 months, and God in his own way causes someone to mention your name. You don't have even to show up for an interview, or if it's an interview, it's just let's know you, and then it's in and you have an opportunity already. That is so great to just know that, God is in the picture and he knows us and he's helping us through this. Maybe one last person to share, so that you are not locked out from your amazing story. Okay. Maybe someone is gathering the energies to just share. But that can be frustrating. And of course, then I know we can type on the chat box due to the interest of time. Tell us when last you got a no and how that made you feel about one, yourself, uh, the bearer of the no, or the person that told you no, and the situation. So on the chat box, or if you have a pen around you, I want you to reflect on paper. That write down an incident. It can be one or two. You can actually continue this as your own personal processing, because we are talking about processing a no. So you can continually process through this. That tell us one, or write down one time that you got a no, how you felt about it, about yourself. Did you feel that then I am not worthy? Do you feel that I didn't make anything out of this? Or do you feel that I was wasted? So how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the person who told you a no. It can be your parent, it can be your boss, it can be those interviewers, it can be the person you were dating or the person you were in a relationship then, that they told you a no. And also the other thing is how you felt about the situation. So if you're gracious enough, you can type for us on the chat box. But again, you can also do what? Just write it on paper or somewhere else and reflect on this later. I want to, let me stop sharing so that I just copy this for you, and so that it's on the chat box and you can transfer it somewhere else. So this one is yes. Let me just sorry. Let me just copy and paste it for you on the chat box, so that then you are able to process through this even as we go and even later, because I intend that this will not be the end of this conversation, that then we can keep the conversation going in our own small space, in our inbox, and even with someone else. But of course, if you need someone to talk to, you can always reach out. So let me just leave this here. Yes, it's there. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Great, we are back. Slideshow. Yes, so you can put this down, but of course you can also put on the chat box if that works for you. So yeah, I promised partly to share about my story, and I have had a few people just reaching out and telling me, oh bro, you are strong and all those things. Yeah, I really appreciate those who did reach out and just shared with me concerning that. So story yangu niko na story tatu. So story ya kwanza, I think, relates to what Pemi has said. I once applied for a job, and it's a job that, you know, when someone shares up an opportunity on their status, they share the first time, you don't take keen interest. They share the second time, you don't take keen interest. They share the third time. So I think the fourth time, which was almost close to a deadline, they share it, and I'm like, what will bite if I consider this opportunity? Of course, I put down my thoughts and apply, and you see the work that goes into application. You think through your English. Thank God ChatGPT has come, but of course, then we need the place of originality, of originating your thoughts, because what is written by ChatGPT can just be seen if you're not wise enough around that. So I put my thoughts together, I apply, and wow, on Friday I get a reply that I have been taken, and then they tell me my interview is scheduled next week, Tuesday or Wednesday. And it was a 1 month engagement, and I was already calculating how much I would get from this engagement. It was towards December, and I was just thinking around how my life would be. Go to work from morning to evening, and then in the evening go just stay around the ocean, look at the waters and all that. So fast forward, I get the email and I said yes, I will show up for the interview. So I start planning, I get my things together, and I'm out to Mombasa. I get to Mombasa on a Thursday evening, stay around, of course, get a friend to host me the other side of ferry, stay there, and then on Friday, prepare again. I had my papers together, my folder together, show up for the interview, and did my best. Interestingly, these guys did not ask for my papers. They just had the conversation here from us. and they say they will send feedback. So yeah, I do that, and of course travel back, and I am happy. I remember my dad calling and asking me, "Uko wapi?" And I say I'm in Mombasa, and they're like, "What have you gone to do?" I tell them I went for this interview. They're like, "Okay, we are praying with you." You know, our parents, they always part of what we do. So I do that. I come back to Nairobi, and at that point, I'm telling friends the way I am packing and preparing that in the next 1 month, you won't see me around. I'm going to Mombasa. Well, let me tell you, a week later, I get an email in terms of it's called what, feedback, so to speak. And allow me put a disclaimer. There's someone who said that winners celebrate, losers explain. Winners celebrate, losers explain. So if you see any email that starts with an explanation, my sister, my friend, just prepare for a no, you get. So because if it is winning, they will start with congratulations. So I have learned that over time. When I just apply for a job and I see they are saying, "Dear Ebenezer, we appreciate," I just know, just stop. I know the results already. So I get this email and they're like, "Yeah, we appreciate your time and all that, but we are sorry to say that we are not moving together with you." So that really hit me hard, in the sense that, wow, I had spent around 5,000 bob to just go to Mombasa. Of course, prepare to go, come back, stay around kidogo. I had to go to the beach and all that, and I spent 5K. And then here comes a no. How do you just process that? So that is story one. Story two, of course, let me skip the chat on email. Let me go to Shamiri. So again, I see an advert on Shamiri Institute. They wanted some trainer or something. So I apply, I give it my best. Of course, you revamp your CV and all that. And they give me feedback. And they gave me feedback that was a no. And thank God, up to that point, I had started understanding that you do not get always what you expect. And not so many chances will actually come your way. And in essence, success is just 1% and 99% is the failure. The guys we celebrate, the runners and all that, it's just the 1% we celebrate. But 99% is things not going their way. So at that point, I had processed that no's may come, and I remember giving them this feedback. Someone can help me read this feedback. This was the feedback when they told me I did not go through. So Grace, you're able to read for us this, if you're able to. Gracie, are you there? Okay, someone who is able to read, maybe Nancy can read.
So I'll read.
Okay.
Greetings, Rahul.
So,
no worries at all. Thanks for getting back to me. We keep building and wish you well too, and the entire Chamiri team for the great work you do. Better together. Thank you.
Great. Will you imagine that was a reply for a regret email? So with time, I had processed that no's will come my way. Yeah, I told them, greetings, Rahim is the guy that was giving me feedback, and then I just told him, no worries at all. Thank you for getting back to me. We keep building and wish you too and the entire Shamir team for the great work you're doing. Better together. I am here imagining how Shamir, Rahim was reading that email to his colleagues. It was like, who kind of this person is this person? So I had come to understand that then no's can come our way. I'll give the last story so that we even get to these other details that we're having here. It's okay to be vulnerable, because then vulnerability is strength in itself. It is courage expressed. So don't feel shy about sharing. So that the other last story is in regards to a relationship. So I have put that a chat on mail. So just a short preview, but again, you can follow me up for the entire conversation. Buy coffee and we'll talk through this. So this is a lady that I had seen since 2020. So we start hitting up the conversation on just, building friendships and all that. And we had built something in terms of the camaraderie, the friendship, it had grown and grown and grown. I remember we would talk, when you will talk the whole day and then talk again the whole night, then talk. If you've been in love, you can attest to that. So we had such conversations and such conversations. But little did I know that I was being taken for a ride. So in 2021, I want to meet her, but she says she's not able to meet me. Interestingly, she was around town. So I go, and at that point I had chosen to be giving people books because I thought books would help people to grow, the aspect of personal development. So I give the book, and I don't know if she read, and she says she's in a hurry. So interestingly, is this particular friend of mine is carrying me on, yet they have someone else in picture. So it got to a point, and I thought that then texting normally was not serious, you get. And then I felt, then can we scale this conversation to an email? So imagine chatting with someone on mail, someone that you are with in the same country. Is that even crazier? You're in the same country and you're chatting on mail. So that's how, Sally, you're laughing. That's how far love had taken me, whatever that was. So we're having this conversation on mail, and then I wait for 2 days, she replies, and I wait for 2 days, and then she replies, and it felt so nice. It felt like a relationship Yamaju and all that. So comes to the point where I am doing the actual ask. And then I'm told, I wish you would have asked earlier. Someone came in picture and I said yes to someone else exactly 2 weeks ago. And that was cringing. That was really downcasting, because this is someone that had groomed over time, so to speak. This is someone that had carried me on. This is someone that we had conversations, and it would flow and flow and flow and flow. But just in a moment, I'm told, I wish you would have shared this prior, because someone was in the picture. So that really was crunching, and I remember struggling. Of course, at first you say, it's okay, I'm good. But then later when you process through that, you feel that then it is something that is so devastating. So those are my scenarios. And of course, time fails me to just do conversations. Maybe more stories, you'll find it in my next book or in my third book. So just keep me close in terms of friendship, and we'll be able to get to that. So, time is really moving, and I want us to imagine ourselves in these 3 scenarios, and whether you consider yourself to have failed or not. These 3 scenarios, and whether you consider yourself that you had failed or not. So the first scenario is you are an experienced a marathoner, and of course today we lost a marathoner. May his soul rest in peace, Kiptum. So you are an experienced marathon runner. You set a goal to run your next marathon in under 4.5 hours. This goal is just 15 minutes shorter than your prior best time. So you complete the marathon in 4 hours, 36 minutes, besting your prior record, but by 9 minutes. So you are a marathoner. The last time you broke the record, you were at 4.5 hours. You have a goal of 4.5. So this is a goal that you want to do 15 minutes shorter, but you do it at 4:36. So last time you were at 4:45. So this time you want to do it at 4:30, but now you do it at 4:36. So I want you to reflect through this and tell me if you think whether that was a fail or not. So maybe anyone that has gotten the concept to just share. Tell me whether you consider this as failure or not. So anyone can unmute and just speak to us. Anyone? Or this class likes being pointed out. Sally, if you're able to unmute Salome Achar for that. Grace's hand is up. Okay, Grace, go ahead.
Okay. I think both.
Yes. Great. Then you consider this as failure and not failure. At one point, the improvement and the fact that they didn't hit their target. Salome Achar, if you're able to share, or anyone that is ready. But Salome, if you're ready, go ahead. Oh, Paris, your hand is up. You can go ahead.
Yes, okay. If it were me, yes. Even failure, that's direct failure. Now, okay, not having this session in mind that Ebenezer will talk to us about processing failure in our minds. That would be a failure. I would just wish to say and say, but deep down, that's a perfect failure for me.
For you, that is perfect failing. Great. Maybe one last response. Elizabeth Kigo, are you able to speak to us in that regard? Okay, great. Thank you. So, according to Grace and according to Paris, that is failure. For Paris, that's absolute failure. For Gracie, that is failure, but again, not failure. I have two more instances, but allow me just show one so that I'll be able to move. Here is a top young professional at an organization. You get asked to prepare slides deck for a high-profile meeting. Your boss tells you to prepare some slide deck, like slides for the conversation like we are doing here. He submits what he considers to be an excellent presentation to his boss. The boss praises the work, but substantially changes the slides before the big meeting. So you have this, your boss gives you some work to prepare slide deck. You prepare the slides, and then you submit. He says this is an excellent presentation, but he does some edits and before he uses them. So what do you think about that? Nancy, what do you think about that? And maybe Ezra, if you got home, you can also tell us what you think about that. Oh, Sally.
Okay.
Okay, Ezra, go first.
Thank you for this opportunity. Okay. There is something called leadership. There is emotional intelligence and so forth. So basically, I presume the person who did the work, the preparation of the slides, is a junior staff. Someone who just joined the organization. So just to suit the ego of the person and to encourage the person not to give up in life, the boss had to just exercise caution and appreciate the effort. But in real sense, to the standards that were required, the person had not met the standards, because otherwise, if the standards were met, there would be no need for the edits. So I would say the only lesson that this person who did the slides is supposed to learn is one, the boss is considerate. Two, there is a big room for improvement. And three, he should be so willing to learn and to ensure that he picks the things that were corrected. So he'd be so keen to note the corrections that were made for him to keep progressing. Otherwise, the incentive of being praised for work not done so well do not last. Because after all, in the corporate world, people do not look at your feelings too much. We look at your feelings for the first month. The second month, we look at performance and what you bring on the table. So as long as you feel good, you've been praised, you have also to work on your skills and work on what you can deliver going forward. Thank you.
Great, that is brilliant. So do you consider this as failure or not failure?
Basically, it's failure, and it's good because it gives you a chance to improve. It tells you there is a big room for improvement for you.
Great. You consider this as failure, but an opportunity to learn. Sally was responding on the previous slide, and she says, on my side, I feel bad I've not reached my set goal, but I also feel good, kuna improvement. Great. Shares the same school of thought like Gracie. There is another scenario. Of course, there were 3 scenarios, but of course, I will share these slides after this conversation. But you notice here, the differentiator in all the 3 failure or the 2 failure scenarios that we have seen is an ideal we have set in our minds. An ideal that you have set in our minds. And an ideal here is an imagined, an expectation that then you are putting on reality. For instance, Valentine is here and you have an ideal for those who are dating, for example. And of course, I know my friend Kirui, who is already married. You have an ideal concerning that day. For instance, your ideal is flowers with some candlelit dinner and some violin playing on the background and some feel-good kind of thing. That is your ideal. And maybe you have not communicated that ideal, and perhaps that ideal cannot fit in the real world, which is a VUCA world that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and I am forgetting the A, so I will just remember with time. So you have an ideal for that day. For example, vitu kwa ground, Chris says. For example, when I was going to Mombasa, I had an ideal that I would go get this job. I would move to Mombasa. I would be on shots during the evenings, just strolling, basking on the sun. That is an ideal that we have created where? In our own mind. So, as we go by, we will then demystify what are these ideals and then how that impacts on us. For example, the teacher from Embo had an ideal that this girl cannot refuse me for whatever reasons, and he has to accept me. The girl who applied over 500 jobs, she had an ideal. But of course, there is a caveat to it that then after you have done 500 applications, are there not things that you are learning about it? Are there not skills that you can start? But that is a conversation for another day. But the issue here is an ideal we have set in our minds. And even as we continue through this session, I want you to think through an ideal you have given yourself in terms of a career, in terms of relationship. Of course, there is always the Kenyan dream, finish campus by 22, get married by 24, by 25 have 2 kids, by 26 maybe have a big job with earning 6-digit salary, by 27 retire and visit the world, be in Maldives, be in Diani, be in Miami. But that is an ideal. Does it happen most of the times? Not exactly. So, okay, Grace has a comment there. We'll get to that later. Thank you. So the issue here is, what is the idea that you have set in your mind? And even for those who will view this, because we are doing a recording that will later upload on YouTube, that then what is the ideal you have set on your mind? Ni graduate, ni malize. A friend of mine jokes and we say in their class they were doing business management. So the ideal of one of his friends was that nimalize tu campus hivi, ule manager wa Safaricom atakuwa ameresign aniachie ni manage Safaricom. And that is an ideal we put in our minds. Kuja kwa grao, when you get that first job, you are told punch papers, pin hizi upeleke pale, rudi, serve chai, and all that and all that. So I want us to, as we even go through this conversation, be thinking through what are the ideals you have set for your mind. And even as we go through, you can put your thoughts on the chat box in terms of if you have a comment or something. So even getting into this, so what is failure? Failure is defined as lack of success or the inability to meet an expectation. And I have intentionally highlighted the word what? Expectation. And expectation here is what we are talking about, ideals that we have for ourselves. The expectation you have about your future husband, the expectation you have about your dream job, the expectation you have about the president. Like right now, people are so frustrated. Everyone is calling the president names, sijui Zakayo, sijui Msafiri, sijui Avieta, and all that. Because while they were being sworn in, we had an ideal for him. We had expectation for him together with his cabinet. But chances are expectations always never met. So the question would be, what are the must and shoulds? what we call in psychology the masturbatory language that you have been using in your life in terms of expectations. The masturbatory language, I must. And this is something that you must look out every day as you continue in life. In terms of even relationship, I know you're looking for this tall, he must be tall, he must be dark, he must be serving the praise and worship, he must be having lots of money, he must, she should, my employer should, my job should give me at least 100K per month, it should. And analyze yourself every other time you are talking, every other time you're setting goals, and we've just been in a season of setting goals. What areas were you saying must, should? What we call masturbatory language, because then that sets an expectation that if it doesn't happen, it really cringes us and affects us emotionally. So I want you to write down later or on your book, write down all your expectations, the must and shoulds you have given yourself around career and relationships. Put down on paper areas that you have said must. He must, she must. My job must. Put down all those musts, put down all those shoulds, and later think through them and see, does this beat reality? Are these genuine? And are these things that can be done in an ideal world, or it can be done in a real world, the world that we exist in? Are we together? If you're together, let me see thumbs up, just to see that I'm talking to people who are listening. Great. Elizabeth, your hand is up. Maybe you have a question up to that point. Or maybe it was a mistake. Okay, perhaps it was a mistake. So I have put that as an assignment. You can do that, and maybe later just get to me and let's have this conversation. So always, we often process failure as a person. A number of times we process failure as a person, that I have failed. Not that I have failed, you say that I am a failure. What we call tagging, we put a tag to it. I am a failure. Because the Mombasa thing didn't work, I am a failure. Because that particular relationship didn't work, I am not meant for relationship. So most of the times we often process failure through the lens of us, failure being a person. So often we say we have failed, and not that particular deal, job application, sale, or relationship failed. So I want us, even as we go by, we dichotomize, we differentiate the failure as an event and then failure as a person. That I didn't fail is not the same as that particular situation did not fail. So just differentiating that. So did you know that too often we tie a no or a failure to our sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-acceptance? So if you process failure through failure being as a person, then you tie your no to, and your failure being a sense of self-worth. I failed because I am not worthy. The reason why he left me, it's because I am not beautiful enough. The reason why that did not work. So we process failure through our self-esteem. The reason why my boss told me no, it's not because I did not do a good job. It's because they hate me. They don't like me at this job. They don't like me in this team. My teammates don't like me. And that is a very shrewd way or a poor way of processing through failure. So the expectations we fail to meet is often our own, or one that we have created in our own head. So the question still goes to the point of, what expectations have you created in your own head? What expectations have you created in your own head, depending on these two things, around career and around relationship, and every other facet of life that we find ourselves in? So why does a no hurt? We are no hurt because we think that a no has come against us. That if my boss tells me no, if my pastor tells me no, if my client tells me no, I think that they are against me. That is not necessarily true. They are saying no to a situation. They are saying no to an idea. They are saying no to a concept. They are saying no to a request, not no to you as a person. So a no should not be processed that they are against me. And then number two is, we let the no inform our self-concept. We let the no inform our self-concept. That because the Mombasa job did not work, then my self-concept is affected. And the self-concept is around 4 amazing areas. And maybe later we can have a follow-up conversation on just the self-concept, because it's also a concept that is so amazing to just go through, because it affects our self-esteem. So our self-image, our self-concept is about our self-image. And if someone has, maybe you have been down because someone thought that you are not looking as beautiful, you do not have the curves that they want, you do not have the beards that they want, you do not have the height that they want. That affects our esteem. Then the self-image, how do you view yourself? That is around the body image, sorry. And then the self-image is the characteristics or attributes we have about ourselves. About someone can say you are not caring, you are not loving, or you are caring, you are loving. So no's can really affect our self-image. That if someone tells you no, if you go for an interview and then say no, you feel that then I'm not competent enough, I am inadequate, which is not necessarily true. And then there is the ideal self. Ideal self, we talk about where you're going in future. Where do you see yourself? That's a concept that we will want to later have conversation and unpack. But this is a number of reasons why no's really hurt us. So, and another important point is that time we process failure from our childhood construct. And our childhood construct, here I mean, if I grew up in a family that I am the last born, then I come to the world expecting the world to treat me as the last born I am. That is not entirely true. The world here doesn't know if you are a last born, and Ezra shared that, like the scenario of that young man, that if you didn't do the work well, at times we may go with your feelings. I don't feel like coming to work. We can go with your feeling. But with time, the world is results oriented. It is a performance oriented. So we process failure through our childhood construct. If I grew up as a baby boy, getting whatever I want, Mom, I want pizza, I get. Mom, I want yogurt, I get. Mom, I want this, I get. Then that will affect my growing up, so that when a no comes, I will feel that these people do not understand that I am entitled to everything. Of course, that speaks to entitlement, that we are entitled and have absolute demands in a world that can not always guarantee what we want. This is a very powerful statement, that are we entitled and have absolute demands on a world that can not always guarantee what we want. Maybe think through your expectations and what you want in terms of career and relationship, and ask yourself, the world we are living in right now, the volatile, ambiguous, uncertain and complex world that we are living in, can it give you these absolutes that you have, the absolute demands that then we take into relationships? Can those people offer that? Like this Valentine's, you want flowers, then after the flowers, they must treat you in the evening dinner, and then later buy you a dress. Thanks be to God if they're able to provide that. But then just think through and see, is this an absolute demand that cannot be provided by the realities that we are living in? So these are the right lens of processing failure. We ought to process failure as an event. Those are the right lens to see failure. We dichotomize, we break down failure in terms of event. So failure is an event that did not work, and not one that was meant to define us. An event that did not work, but not one that was meant to define us. We have found people that have been defined by relationship, defined by jobs, defined by a number of things. But then these are things that can live in a moment. So how do you process failure? Do you process it as an event? Then those are the right length. And that will help us to learn from that particular incident. If I went to Mombasa and did not go through, Pemi came to Mombasa, to Nairobi, and did not, Paris came to Mombasa, and Nairobi, and did not work through. It is for us to learn. Is it that my CV was not right? Is it that I applied for a job that I don't fit in terms of the years of expectation? Years of experience? Is it that I didn't revamp my CV? Is it that my cover letter was not well done? Is it that I fumbled during the interview? Process through that as an event. Get the lessons that come with that. Then you are able to forge ahead better. In denial and live at the point then you are continually hurt, then it will continue hurting. And maybe you may find yourself in such a bad place. So, and another lens to see failure through as an opportunity to say yes to other great opportunities. no as an opportunity to say yes to another great opportunities. Paris here says after she had come to Nairobi, the job did not come through. She got another opportunity in wherever where she did not even apply. Someone just mentioned her name. And I want us to come to this point of being positive, that a no gives you an opportunity to say yes to many other things. I am so glad that the guys in Mombasa said no to me, because later I put up a program around teens program. And guess who I hired to be one of the speakers? It was an advisor, actually, a lady that was consulting for that organization. So while she was putting the poster out there, they asked her, "You know Ebenezer?" And they're like, "Yeah, I know Ebenezer. She has brought me on board for this particular conversation." So if those guys would have said yes to me, it means I would not have put together the teens program that I had and hired one of their consultants. So this is to say, a no gives you an opportunity to say yes to other great opportunities. And to bring it into context, even to into more clear picture. If you are pitching for that job and you went in and they said yes and they were giving you, let's say, a basic salary of 30K or 40K, and later you got another interview, let's say with another organization that you are like, now that I have already gotten this opportunity, I'm not going for that other interview. And then maybe the other organization was offering like 70K. So if you would have gotten a no for these 30K guys, then you would have gotten an opportunity to be part of that 70K opportunity if it would have come your way. So I'm simply saying a no is as an opportunity to say yes to other great opportunities. If one relationship did not fail, then gives you an opportunity to scrutinize and say yes to a guy that then you are more open to, a guy that your goals are more aligned, but also more so for a job. It gives you an opportunity to groom yourself, to get skills, to get to I know what do I really want, because then the question of what am I meant for? What is my purpose? Am I meant for the marketplace? Am I meant for business and entrepreneurship? So it helps you to say yes to other great opportunities. Up to that point, tuko salama. Let me see the thumbs up. Great. You can even be typing on the chat box the lessons that you're picking. I know you're putting that on paper, but you can put that on the chat box. Let's move on. Hopefully by 9:30 we'll be out of this place. So even as we continue, I want us to, how do we reframe failure? How do we see failure through other lens? I am a photographer, and on the camera, there's something we say adjusting the lens. And this is you focusing, you getting different angles of the same shot. So we can similarly change our perspective on situations to see them differently. We can zoom out and zoom in, get different angles to see and process through past failures and failures that may come as we go by. So we can change the way we see failure, the failure that has come and future failure, because I promise you, you will fail more even as the years come. And our goal here is to build our mental energy, to build tenacity and resilience to continue as even as no's come, as failure comes. How do we process through that? So failure can mean a number of different things. So we are reframing failure, or we are seeing failure through other lens. And the first lens that we can view failure, and I would want all of us to view this because it's something that I have kept learning over the time, that it didn't work so that that it was an opportunity to learn. That it didn't work so that I would have learned what works and what does not work. That the reason why that relationship did not work, the reason why that job opportunity did not come through, or that interview did not come through, or that client, I did not close that sale, it happened so that I would learn. So Thomas Edison, who is famously known for inventing the bulb, he says, I have not failed, but I have just found 10,000 ways that would not work. Of course, he tried up to around 10,000 ways of trying to invent the bulb that we use right now. But up to those 9,000 and something times, it did not work. So he says, I have not failed. I have just found out ways that would not work. So even in ourselves, as we process failure, for example, you're pitching for a product, or for those who are in business and you're trying to do product design and all that, you realize what works and what does not work. And you learn. Maybe it's about around you revamping your CV and all that. You come to a point and learn that then this does not work and this works. So you come to learn that failure was an opportunity for you to do what? To learn. And that is the greatest lens to see failure through. That even as I put up this conversation, then I see what works, what does not work. Even as we show up for those interviews, then learn what do these guys want. And one thing that I have employed, or you may also want to employ, while you go to interviews, request for feedback. Ask, will I receive feedback? And for those who are here and are HRs, please give feedback that is feedback. Don't tell me I did not go through because you got better candidates. Tell me why I was not the better candidate. Was it my years of experience? Was it the number of, was it my cover letter that did not attune? Was it that I came up with the wrong course? You needed someone in IT. I showed up with BBIT. So the folks who are here, and maybe if you care HR, unaweza waambia, let feedback be feedback. Tell me what did not work for me, so that it helps me to get better always. So always ask for feedback, so that it helps you to just learn and continue learning. Then number 2 thing is to see failure and appreciate it in the lens that then I was a novice. A novice is someone that is a first timer, or what we call amateurs in some sense. That at that particular point, I was a novice. That when you are new at something, success is likely less. For instance, myself, I have hawked eggs, mayai ya kupasua, way back in 2017 during one of our long holidays. And I had never cooked mayai in plenty like zikiwa mingi. I just saw the elders in the CU doing it, and I thought it's something that I may implement. So I go home and I start hawking, and I didn't know how long does 30 eggs take to quiver, under which temperature, and I was using firewood. And I remember the first day I went selling eggs and they were not well cooked. And you know how not well cooked eggs look like. You pasua, and then there is the milkish kind of thing. So I went sold to the first person. The milkish was, the milk was kidogo. And then went sold to the next person, and it sold me out that hii mayai haijaiva. I remember that person telling me, kijana enda nyumbani ukapike haya mayai vizuri. So the fact that you're trying it out the first time, the chances of success may be so little because you do not know the ropes. You may just have an ideal, you may have a business plan, but then there is vitu kwa ground, the environment that you're placing that particular business plan to. So failure reframed as I now know better. That I would want all of us here, that as you process through the past failures, you would come to a point and say, I now know better. I now know better. I now know better. I now know better how to go around interviews. I now know better how to go around relationship. I now know better how to go around job interviews and businesses. So be it in business, relationship, or career, be gracious to acknowledge that most things do not work at the first shot. I know you have motivational speakers that have told you, I just started my hotel with 1 bean and one maize. That can sound so exciting and so motivating. Or someone tells, I started my cuckoo farm with just 1 feather. That can be exciting. But the truth is, not so many things succeed at the first stint, because then there is an opportunity to learn, and you putting what you thought would work and what works at the end. So allow yourself to grow. Be gracious to yourself. Have self-compassion to say, I now know better, and get the lessons out of it. And then thirdly would be, it is simply unfinished. These are very interesting lens. That instead of taking my life because of something that did not work, be it a relationship, be it a job interview that did not work, I just say it is simply unfinished, that there is an opportunity to grow. So how about we look at failure instances as misrepresentation of unfinished processes? That if I try out a business right now and it doesn't work through, it doesn't mean that I am not a good business person. It's just that that particular one did not work, and there are things I can learn. Maybe I can learn something around ideal thinking, something around productization, so to speak, something around sales and marketing. So we are processing failure to say it is simply unfinished. Simply unfinished, that I am still an unfinished product as someone in career, or I am still an unfinished product as someone coming into relationship. So then I don't demand absolute things from my partner or my significant other, or even the people around me. So this gives us the opportunity to get ourselves together, picking ourselves again, and finish it meticulously. So for the guys who have applied for job, it's not the end of it. You can then learn, how do I just revamp my CV? How do I just get meticulous and just know how to continue processing through this? Again, if you're together, let me see the thumbs up. Great. So those are the three lenses that would help us to see failure through. That an opportunity to learn. I was just a novice. I now know better. And then it is simply unfinished. So even as I mentioned that by 9:30 we should be out of here. Even as we bring this to a conclusion, I know you have touched a number of things, some generally, some specifically. But then this is a conversation that I've said we can keep having. And we can keep having individual sessions to just process through this. Maybe your past failure or your past fears. Because one thing that then holds us back from not trying and going ahead is the aspect of us fearing failure. But you have said failure is part of the success that we desire, and that we desire that we process through. So in conclusion, friends, failure is not a death sentence, but a lifeblood to other success opportunities. It is not a death sentence. The fact that you traveled all the way did not work, the fact that a relationship did not work, doesn't say then commit suicide or do away with your life. There are 1,001 other opportunities. Actually, in regards to relationship, I'm told that the population right now should be close to 3 billion or thereabouts, or even 5, or we are so many of us in the globe. So just one relationship failing means it gives you opportunity to be in another billion relationships. So number 2 is a present no that is well processed becomes a vision board for future success. A present no that is well processed becomes a vision board for future success. If you fail right now and you process through that well in the right lens, then it gives you opportunity to say yes to better things, an opportunity for you to grow. And then get the lessons from every failed event and show up. We are saying after every failed event, dust yourself up and show up, because there is always room. There is always room. And then lastly is process every failure and know in the lens of a growth mindset. A growth mindset is saying, I know that one did not work, but I know another opportunity will come and it will work, and I'm able to process through this. So always process failure through the lens of a growth mindset, knowing that it can work, I can do better, I am better at this, my skills can be grown, I can learn another skill that can help me out and show me to improve. So get to learn and see that then you can always have an opportunity to improve and do better. Then Soraya Bonali says, Soraya is a great all-time skater, says, you don't have to wait for a medal to make your life different. If you give 100%, you did the best. Feel good about it, feel positive, and move on. You don't have to wait for a medal to make your life different. If you gave 100%, you did your best, and feel good about it. Feel positive and move on. Up to that point, dear friends, I would want to invite a few questions and reflections through this, and even as we bring this to a close. Anyone to go first? Or you guys are meditating and thinking through what you have been saying? So I think everyone can speak. So Paris, you are on the top of my screen. So you can go Paris, Eliza, Nancy, Salome, Ezra, then Gracie. Paris, you can unmute and go ahead.
Someone can go first before me.
Okay. One who's ready, Salome, or even Ezra. Anyone can go first. Okay. Gracie. Or Nancy. Or you guys are meditating through what you have said. Anyone? Ezra? Okay. Nancy, you can go first.
Hey, I missed a point. Please come up again.
Or you are actually sharing just a question or reflections from what you have gone through. Yeah.
Okay. First, thank you so much for such an opportunity and opening our eyes on how we can do failure. I mean, it's not everything that doesn't work for us that is meant to break us. Most of the instances circumstances that we get along, they are there to open our eyes and even to make us better, mahali to make mistakes so that next time we don't repeat the same. Yeah, that's my take home.
Great. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing. Elizabeth?
Well, on my personal experience, at least I've learned something of why everything might not always work out, especially when it comes to maybe job hunting. We said the noble side. Maybe that is the most part of it where I've captured it. And a failure doesn't count a complete no. You can still try again. You can use the failure to a higher level to something better. For me, that's what those are the main points that I've captured in the session, and I'm grateful.
Great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing. Oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing with us. Ezra, and then Achar, and then Gracie. Okay. Achar, are you there? Or you can type on the chat box, but I would love to hear from you.
Ebeneza, umeniambia niongee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You presented well, although there is a moment nilikuwa away, but I've followed the initial part of the conversation and the last part. And allow me say something very short while just to back up on what you just mentioned and what you said. So there is some job I applied, and so after applying, I got a regret after an interview. So we had an interview, so nikapata regret. And then nikakaa for almost 3 months, and the people got back to me, wakaniambia, the chance you had applied last time and ukapata regret, there is now an opportunity, and so we are giving it to you. And to say the positive part of it ni kwamba the now new position, the one that looks like new, it's not new that time, was of better terms than the previous one, the one I applied for and I interviewed for. Now the reason why that opportunity came up after I regret is that the person who held that position transitioned to a different place. So a senior position is vacant, and so the person who received a regret message is now given a chance to take up a senior position from the position that he had applied for. Now the reason why I mentioned this is sometimes you get a no, and you process it poorly, you may end up blocking opportunities that would have surfaced if you were keen enough and accepted the situation and avoided the illusional ideal situations that we sometimes create in our minds. Remember, it's not you alone who is applying for that job. It's not you alone who is being interviewed. There are thousands or hundreds of people applying for that job, and opportunities are few. So sometimes you are the one supposed to take the regret so that someone else has an opportunity. In fact, instead of feeling bad, celebrate the other guy who has gotten an opportunity at your cost. Thank you.
Hey, great. That's mind blowing. Then we celebrate. What a turn of events that we see that through the lens that someone somewhere has gotten an opportunity. And I relate to what you have shared. I remember around January last year or February, I get an interview, I go, and then I waited, followed up. They told me they had taken someone else or they moved on with another client. Actually, exactly 1 month later, they called me and say, you had come second, and work has grown. Like we need another trainer, and I was able to come and occupy that. So as Chris says, how do you process that? Even when that nose comes, how do you even respond to those emails? Do you throw tantrums and all that, or you call the HR unamtusi unamwambia nini because then you might be blocking yourself, because these guys keep the records of the guys that have applied, and they keep the scoring, so that because hiring is a bigger process. I have myself tried hiring for a client or virtual assistant, and it is tough. You just post in a group, I'm looking for someone interested in research. Wait. 1,000 people will be in your inbox. Hi, I am interested. So imagine for the HR team, it can be crazy. So what you are saying, put your best feet forward, but then celebrate that someone else got an opportunity. Thank you so much, Ezra, for sharing. Gracie?
Well, this was really an amazing session. Once again, thank you, Evan, for organizing all this, and thank you for the effort that you put in place to come up with this. It's really necessary, and smart to share this message today. And my best takeaway takeaway was, I know what you said about, like, I know how, or receiving, rather receiving a no, better opportunities. No is an opportunity to receive greater opportunities that lie ahead. So that was my biggest takeaway. And maybe to add on all this, what I get from you is positive. Receiving everything with open arms, positivity, and as well, let me just give an example. While applying for jobs, while maybe in that relationship, you need to view things both ways. Like there is a possibility for you to get a no and a yes in every situation. So that your expectations cannot be too high to a yes, and then suddenly you get a no, and you're like, I hadn't figured, or you start feeling depressed or really disappointed. You know, so I think still viewing everything, every situation and everything, both sides. Yes, there might be a yes or a no. You might receive a yes or a no. It's really important for us. And taking everything with a positive mindset. We talked about growth of mindsets as we came to a conclusion, and I believe that is what we want to carry on, like receive everything with a positive mindset, and don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to speak out. I know some no's really hard, and you're like, yeah, I'm positive. I'll be positive in this. Yes, it's you took it like you view this both sides, both ends, like it might work or it might not work. But at some point, you feel like you were hurt. You really needed that yes, so that you can move on. It's not bad to speak out. Just find a friend, speak to them, and then yeah, you'll be relieved. Yes. So thank you very much once again, Evan, for this platform, and yes, for the amazing session that we have had.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Chris, that then your takeaways around positivity and also speaking up. And when it hurts, then it hurts, then find someone to talk to, because then bottled up in emotions are like a time bomb, then that then will explode at some point. Thank you so much. I don't know who has not shared and they are willing to share. It's Salome here, but I don't know if she's able to unmute. Elizabeth, your hand is up, or it's up by with accident or accidentally. Okay. Up to that point, thank you so much, guys, for sharing. We can connect on TikTok, FB, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Let's show up. Let's change the world. That's my number. Thank you. Looking forward to more conversations. But again, it's open. If you would want to have just a one-on-one conversation around whatever we have talked about, feel free to reach out. And as well, if you need these slides for your records, and just keep them somewhere. Also, do the same. Just reach out on inbox, and I will share this. Otherwise, asanteni sana for showing up and for your indulgence in terms of just sticking around up to this point. I don't take it for granted. And wow, imagine if I would put on the efforts and then no one showed up for this conversation. It would be really a failure that then failed. So thank you for showing up. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.